Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. It's Saturday morning, which means it's time for another edition of the Weekend Workshop. And this week, this will be episode number 33 of the Workshop podcast, if you're following along on the audio only. And this week, I'm going to share with you guys I use quotation marks here, backup power, whole house backup power setup. This is what I've basically put together. I've been asked ever since I picked up my generator, the Firman Trifuel generator. You guys know all about that. I've been asked consistently, Tim, what will it power? How much will it power? And can you please share with us your backup power system? So this week, we're going to get a little creative and I'm going to walk you around, show you all the different bits and pieces I've put together throughout the summer, the different things I've put into place to make things safe. And I'll show you my entire system. Plus, we're going to do some testing. This is literally the first time that I've attempted to power the entire house with the Firman generator. So we're going to see. We're going to run it off of natural gas. And we're going to test a bunch of different things. And as we go, we'll figure it out together. So join me for my journey showing you my whole house backup system using my Firman Trifuel generator. All right, guys, real quick before we dive in, you want to know more about me? Run by toolmantim.co. You can find everything there is to know there, social media links, the shop with way over 100 products that I recommend, stuff that's made me money or saved me money. And if you want to follow along audio and you're big into podcasts, just search on any podcatcher, the Workshop Podcast with Toolman Tim. You'll find us there, 3 episodes a week. And guys, I appreciate the support. Okay, so let's dive in. I'm going to move everything around, set things up, and I'll show you exactly what's involved in me hauling out my generator, setting everything up. You'll probably get some B-roll footage at some point as well. I'll show you my gas setup, my breaker setup, my exterior RV inlet, power box, the whole works. So hang in there, follow me along. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys here exactly what kind of process is involved in hauling out the generator. It's as simple as opening the garage door, and I've got it set up so that it's a good flat surface the entire way. The generator's heavy, but it's well balanced. You can see here where I'm just pulling it along with one hand, and it even, with those big tires, it even comes up and over the dirt fairly well. I'm quite impressed, and the only difficult part is to just get it up over the edge of the deck, but it works. Here's the setup. There is a 20-foot length of 6'3" cable with 2 male ends on it. Not ideal, but that is what they call a backfeed cable. That is what I've built. I've got some safeguards in place to make it safe. We'll talk about some of this at the beginning and the end of this video. And here's the 20-foot quick connect 1/2-inch natural gas hose. So now, the moment of truth. We're going to go downstairs, we're going to turn the main power off, and hook everything up. This right here, this is my natural gas barbecue, was propane, had it converted, and it goes into a quick release fitting right there. This was the first project I did this summer. I installed an outlet right there. So you see this was a plug right in the line, and I extended it, put in a shutoff, put in a drip tube right there, put in a quick release coupling, and now I can quickly unhook the barbecue, and then we'll hook up my 20-foot hose. And then we're going to go downstairs and I'll show you what we're dealing with down there. And this right here at the bottom, that guy is my 50 amp outdoor RV inlet plug. I got some of these stickers coming off here. So anyway, there we go. So we'll shut off the main. We'll shut off every single breaker, including that one. Then we'll go outside and we will hook up the power to the RV plug. And we're going to backfeed into the house. Since I haven't been able to find a, what do they call it, a shutoff or an interlock switch, the only other option I found was one of these breaker lockout devices, which is really cool. It just pumps into place once it's locked. You can then put see if I can show you that, there's a little hasp right there. You can put a lock on it and lock it out so nobody can turn that main back on, keeping any potential power line worker completely safe. I'm showing you my emergency setup just in case the shit really does hit the fan and we need to run this for a while. This is going to be my setup for the time being. And this is the input right here, the RV plug right there. See if you can see that. There you go.
Ha-ha!
have power. Now we're going to turn a few on that we need. Okay, we have, right now, everything turned on except for the stove, the dryer, the furnace. What else do we have? Yeah, any 220s are turned off and the furnace is turned off. Television is working 100% fine on the electrical. What else do we want to know? Let's go turn on the computer, I guess. We have lights here. Perfect. Lights in here. TV's working good. Modem's working. Internet's up and running. Xbox is working. Upstairs TV's working good. Charlie's TV's working. Xbox is working. TV's working. Security camera, whole PVR setup's working. Computers are good, monitors are good. Turn furnace up. We'll go downstairs and see what happens. Furnace is running, guys. We've got the entire house other than, now we're running on natural gas, remember? So the only thing I don't have hooked up right now or turned on is the air conditioner, which we're going to test, the dryer, which we don't need, the electric stove, not going to push my luck today, yeah, and the hot tub. That's it. I'm fairly impressed. I had to uncover what was put away for the winter. Here comes the final test. For the record, when you want to test an air conditioner, it helps to have said air conditioner turned on. All right, guys, so I hope you really enjoyed that look at my home generator setup. I'm really excited about how well the test went. Before we dig into the positives and the negatives, you know, the pluses and minuses of what I just did and how excited I am about how well it worked, I want to talk about the process that it took to set up all of these things, because I didn't have any of these setups when I was getting ready to start powering my entire home with a generator. When we lost power last March in that huge blizzard, I brought my generator out and I ran extension cords in through the doggy door, and I did what I had to do and it worked. But at the time I was thinking, I got to figure out a way to run my furnace. And I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna splice in to the furnace line so that I have it on a plug that I can plug in or unplug, and then I can hook a generator extension cord up to that. That was my first thought. And then I thought, well, why don't you look at wiring the whole house for a generator? And years ago, when I lived on the East Coast, I had looked at backfeeding. I even built a backfeed cable, but never got to the point where I was able to actually give it a whole home test. And I always wanted to learn. And again, watch my video on to backfeed or not backfeed. I'm not telling you what to do, what not to do, but this is the process that I'm going to use for the time being. So, what do I do when I'm getting ready to set up and to knock out a great big project that's going to take time? The biggest thing for me is to break it down into bite-sized pieces and then to have rewards along the way. Sound like a little kid, but this is what has worked really well for me. So this great big project that took me from last March till just recently, what's this now, August? So, you know, no, sorry, November. Yeah, here we go. Anyway, so this big project I broke up into bite-sized pieces so that it wouldn't seem overwhelming and wouldn't cost me too much at one time. So I started out, the very first step on this project path was installing a natural gas outlet on the outside of the house. And what's really cool about this project is I tackled things I'd never done before, and I learned skills that I hadn't used before. Now, growing up on the East Coast, I wasn't always really comfortable with natural gas because I wasn't around it. There just wasn't any out there. And so it took me some time. I know how to plumb and I know how to pipe fit, but I really hadn't dealt with natural gas. And again, I had these skills, but didn't put them together into that skill set at that time. I knew how to plumb and I knew how to check for leaks, but I never worked with natural gas. So I took my time, I did my research, I learned all about the ins and the outs of putting a barbecue outlet on the outside of your house. I got it all together, and you know what? I was more than pleased with the results. No leaks. I even had a guy over with a natural gas detector at the time. No leaks there at all. It was great. So that was step one. Step two was the reward process, and that was I needed a new barbecue. So I tried to, you know, everything is 2 is 1. I always want to have a couple of different outcomes or options for backup of everything. And in this instance, having that outlet was going to power my generator, but it's also going to give me unlimited, and I use that term loosely, fuel source for my grill, my barbecue. And I had a propane barbecue that was starting to wear out, and it was time to replace it. So I went to Canadian Tire and I picked up a natural gas compatible barbecue, a conversion kit, and I did the conversion. That's only the second time I've ever converted a barbecue from propane to natural gas. I also did my furnace up there. But if you're intimidated by doing something like that, it's not difficult. They always come with the parts you need. There's only about 4 or 5 little parts you have to change. Comes with the directions to do it. Just be patient, take your time, read the instructions, and don't take out more than one piece at a time. When you're done, when I was done, I had a barbecue that is now hooked in permanently to my natural gas. It's just a ball valve to turn on, turn off. Now I have an unlimited source of fuel for my grill. That's a backup source of cooking when the power's out, and also now an outlet for my generator. So that was step number 2. So the next step from there was getting the natural gas hose and the quick release couplings. And that was a fairly big expense. I think I said earlier in the video it was a 20-foot. I checked on Amazon, it was actually a 24-foot. Everything that I've used, I'll try to put links to in the description here so you guys can check them out. But so I ended up getting a 1/2-inch natural gas hose. That was quite expensive from Amazon. And then I went to my local plumbing and heating store and I got 2 quick release couplings, which cost just as much again as the hose. But that's what I wanted. So now I have a permanent fitting on my generator and a permanent fitting on the other end of the hose, and everything is interconnected. So now when I want to hook up to the fuel line, it's literally just unhook the barbecue, snap in the hose on one end, snap in the hose on the other end, and then I am all set. So from there, the next step, this was setting up a 50 amp RV plug in the backyard. That's handy no matter what, because now I have a high-powered power outlet in the backyard. If we need to run a 50 amp RV from it, we can. But the main reason for this was so that I could backfeed into the home. Now, a couple of skills I had to do. I had to rent a cement drill and drill a 1-inch hole, roughly, I believe it was, through the foundation of the house. And I rented that. It was really cool because I was able to rent the same tool that did that also did the jackhammering for my prepper pantry project in the house. So I try to knock 2 or 3 things out at one time. I went to my local electrician. I bought some 6-3 wire. I ordered the RV box and plug off of Amazon. Picked it all up piecemeal so that it didn't seem to cost me too much all at one time. And then the big skill that I'd never done before was installing a breaker in my electrical panel. Never did it. It was kind of intimidating. But with my electrical pen tester, that was a big help. And just watching a lot of YouTube videos again, I was comfortable installing that 50 amp double pole breaker. And again, if you're not comfortable with electrical, don't do it. But for me, it was a learning experience and I was super happy that I did. And then the next step of the entire process, and you'll see a video about this, I'm not sure quite where it's going to fit in with the timeline, was labeling my electrical panel. So that was yet another step in the direction, because I needed to know what I wanted on, what I didn't want on when I finally did this knockdown drag out test of an entire house of power with the generator. And that was a long time coming. It was a highly unsexy project, but I was so happy to have it labeled. It needed to be done. And now it's done. So from buying the generator to installing an outlet to modifying a barbecue, to buying a natural gas hose, to installing a breaker and an RV outlet on the outside, to labeling electrical panel, to the point where we just finished up in this video a few minutes ago, and that was running the generator, backfeeding, and powering the whole house. It was fun. It was an awesome project, and I always encourage you, if you're intimidated by a big project, you can do it. I did this, and you break it down into steps. Everything I've ever learned has been almost all self-taught. And of course, this is going to sound foolish, but everything you learn, it's the first time you do it at one point. So take your time, get in there, get your feet wet, and do it. So now, let's talk about the after incident report. I don't like the word incident, but the after action report of this generator. How well did it run the whole house? the entire process was actually rather smooth. I'd been practicing testing things along the way. I took time to test it running off natural gas a while ago. Just everything along the way, I did experimentation and just basically watching it and figuring out if it was going to work or didn't. And in this case, pretty much everything did. So we got it all hooked up. The backfeeding process, I try to make as simple as I can, but it's still a little bit complicated. And it is inherently dangerous if you don't follow the proper procedure. And for now, it'll be me doing it at the home, but I'm also going to do a video. This won't be for you guys, but just a private video. I got this idea from Jake at Ravenwood Acres. It's going to be a process video that my wife could watch if I ever happen to be away. That'll take her step by step through hooking everything up and doing it properly. And I will walk her through it a couple of times and make sure she can do the entire process by herself without anybody helping, just in case. I mean, the chances of me being away during a power outage and her being home are so slim, it's not even funny. But I want to have that video put together as an internal process for our family so that I can make sure they're taken care of. Or maybe, who knows, maybe I hurt myself and I'm laid up somewhere and she needs to have some backup power. So the process is there. And I'll have the process, say my brother-in-law needs to come by and help Becky out for some reason. Well, he can watch the video with her and they can make that work. So that would be good. So a few of the questions that I've gotten asked about the Trifuel Firman generator is, number one, how dirty is the power? Well, I've addressed that in other videos. I've talked to the company about it, and it's not as bad as some of the rumors on the internet allow it to be. However, the proof is in the pudding, and you've seen in this video, I went through the whole house and I could not find an electronic that had any interference or had any trouble running. So to me, that is super exciting because that means I don't need to look at some really expensive power conditioning devices or another generator or, on and on. There's so many things I could do. Have no need to do that. So that makes me really happy. Now, the one downside to the entire process, and everything works so smooth, was the AC unit. Everybody wants to know, will it run an AC unit? Mine's a 2-ton AC unit, and it wouldn't run it on natural gas, as you've seen. So I thought, okay, natural gas, you get about 2/3 of the power. Let's try gasoline. It wouldn't run on gasoline either. You could hear the thermostat would kick in, you'd hear the generator rev up, and the air conditioner would do nothing. So another project for down the road is I'm going to look for a soft start, I don't even know what you call it, accessory, installation piece, whatever it is, for my central air unit. And basically what that does is it helps, I guess it acts like a transformer or capacitor. I don't know the exact term for that, guys, but it allows a buildup of a charge in there that will start your air conditioner without pulling that great big draw off of a generator. You can get those things for high drain fridges and things like that as well. But for me, that is a very important piece. I would love to be able to run my central air. It's not a do or die item because honestly, in the winter I don't need it and it runs my furnace no problem. But in the summer, if it's hot, we'll open some windows or run some fans, or we'll all go in one room and run a single small room air conditioner if we really need to cool off. But beyond that, that was the only thing that it wouldn't run, and I enjoyed that. And the backfeeding process was so simple. It might sound foolish, but it was quiet. I don't know what I expected, whether the lights would dim or blink a little bit, or there would be some kind of, just rev up of the whole house when you plugged it in. But it was literally, you turned the breaker on and the power was there. It was just like you were getting grid power. The only time, for whatever reason, that I seen any blinking of the lights was when I turned the computers on in my downstairs office. That may have something to do with the dirtiness or cleanness of the power, but the LED lights in my office ended up just kind of, wouldn't even say winking, just kind of dimmed maybe 5% or something. That was the only time I noticed anything out of the ordinary when running off of generator power. As far as the noise goes, I had my back door open and you could hear it, but it really wasn't that noisy. It's a generator. It makes noise, but I don't find it that bad, and it's certainly quieter. I'm going to have to do a test because, and this is no complaint at all, but I have a neighbor who has a diesel truck up the road, and he runs it to warm it up during the winter, even in the summer sometimes, and it's not annoying, but I just notice it because I know it's there. And there's no way that that's any quieter than my generator running in the backyard. To me, that's all there is. Like, it just sounds like a vehicle running somewhere and not even that loud. And I guess the last thing I'd like to address is the natural gas. You know, I'm going to talk about this in another video down the road, but I had one person comment in the comment section of one of my videos. They said, why would you ever consider natural gas for a generator? You're an idiot. Well, he didn't call me an idiot, but that's the first thing they turn off in a grid down emergency. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. First off, in my 8 years that I have lived in this town, we have never lost natural gas. That doesn't mean it's not possible, but that means that for the last 8 years, every single power outage that I would have had, I could run off of natural gas. Now, every disaster scenario that I prepare for is not the end of the world type scenario. Everything that is very common and most likely to happen in our area is not a loss of natural gas. Now, that is one area that I do prep for, and that's why I also keep a bunch of propane and a bunch of gasoline on hand. But why would you ever think about, you know, turning your nose up to an unlimited source of inexpensive fuel when you have that option? And what I loved about it was, yes, you only get about 2/3 the wattage out of it, but it ran everything I needed in my home. Everything, without even skipping a beat. And I know I could have run some more stuff off it. And I may do some more testing down the road, but that beast would have, if I wanted to, turn most everything else off. I could have turned my hot tub on for an hour just to make sure it stayed warm for us, you know? I could have even done a load of laundry, I'm sure, as long as I wasn't doing anything else along with it. Or we could have turned, you know, a burner, a stovetop burner on the oven, like anything. Why? Why would you ever? Anyway, I get it. I know that mindset, but instead of thinking about the one little thing that might go wrong if the worst of the worst of the worst shit hits the fan scenario happens, how about looking at being practical and getting yourself set up as best you can and look after your family? Because like I said, in the last 8 years, if I wanted to be hooked up to natural gas, it would have run every time there was a power outage. And even in the surrounding area, there hasn't been any. There was one close call in an hour away town that it didn't happen. So for what it's worth, it's not a big deal. So don't overthink things. Don't overfret on things. One more thing I might do. You seen where my natural gas outlet was tucked up by the electrical meter and right up against the house? I'm thinking about replumbing that down under the deck. I probably won't do it till spring, but out behind my barbecue. That way you won't trip over it when you're walking, but it'll also give me that extra 4 feet of extension because I've got, I think it was a 25-foot electrical cord and a 24-foot natural gas hose, which is plenty fine. But by the time I run the natural gas across the deck and then pull the generator back, I lose 4 feet of clearance, which is still okay. But I lose 4 feet of clearance that I still have in that really expensive electrical cord I bought. So I'd love to get everything out so that I can go right to the edge of the deck. And one more thing I'm thinking about while I'm talking to you, I think I'm going to get some kind of grill or fireproof pad, a mat that I can roll down and set the generator on. No real concern, but the fact that it's sitting on a wood deck, I would just feel a little bit better if I did that. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this. I know this video went a little long. That's okay. You can always turn it off if you're not happy with my content, but I really wanted to do a full-on backup house powered generator video that talks about the Firman Trifuel, how well it worked, and I also wanted to show you my setup. I may even do another video of just the setup down the road, but that's once I get all the bugs worked out, but I was happy with it. So anyway, guys, thanks for taking this journey with me. You know there'll always be more backup power videos and more generator videos. So if you have any requests, send them to me. I'd love to know what you'd love to hear because that's what almost all my content at this point is user requested stuff that the community wants to know. So thanks, guys. And if you're new, stick around, hit the subscribe button. Check out what I have. 5 videos a week, 3 episodes of a podcast, plus a couple of tool review videos. Guys, you know, I always appreciate you hanging out with me in the workshop because I know you could spend your time anywhere and everywhere else. So thank you very much. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.